Kratos versus Darth Vader.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the iron fist of the Galactic Empire ruled everything.
All thanks to the super powerful super murderer, Darth Vader. But beneath his spooky mask lay the husk of former nice guy, Anakin Skywalker.
As a child among the harsh wastes of Tatooine, Anakin longed to one day free his fellow slaves as a heroic Jedi.
Lucky for him, he met Qui-Gon Jinn, a Jedi who believed little Annie was the chosen one and would bring balance to the Force. No pressure, right? So he took him under his wing to become the papa he never had. Or so was the plan, until... yeah.
Instead, Qui-Gon's apprentice became Anakin's mentor. But while Anakin sought a father figure, Obi-Wan saw him as more of a brother.
I'm sure that won't cause any awkward tension whatsoever.
Drama and trauma aside, Anakin quickly became a powerful Jedi. He excelled in lightsaber combat and the Force, an energy field that binds all living things together.
The Force lets Jedi move stuff with their mind, fend off mental attacks, predict the future, and make people believe these aren't the droids they're looking for. They're basically space wizards.
Through rigorous training and a not unnoticeable natural talent, Anakin was particularly skilled in the Form 5 lightsaber fighting styles, Xian and Jian So.
Also known as the Way of the Crate Dragon. You know that big sand dragon Mando blew up from the inside? Yeah, make that a lightsaber.
Form 5 is incredibly versatile, well suited for defending against lightsaber and blaster alike. It focuses on blending parries with devastating counterattacks, aiming to win duels through overwhelming pressure.
Perfect for the Padawan who just bulldozed his way through training to become a Jedi Knight.
Even as a newly knighted Jedi, Anakin could keep up with some of the most experienced Jedi Masters and Sith Lords of his time.
But he had plenty of other problems to deal with, like his late-blooming rebellious teenage angst. I mean, you don't just throw a kid into space monk school and expect him to forget everyone he ever cared about, right? Well, apparently that's what he was supposed to do.
The life of a Jedi can be difficult and cold, something Anakin could not accept. And so, rather than let his secret wife die in childbirth, he was seduced to the dark side through the promise of power.
And so began his Jedi kill streak, until Obi-Wan gave him a glorious lava bath. How... refreshing?
But thanks to his new Sith Master Palpatine, our young warrior was saved, reborn, rebuilt. He was now Darth Vader.
Vader is a badass. Everyone knows it and they're terrified of him. I mean, just look at the guy.
As impressive as his armor appears, you might be surprised by its quirks. See, while the Jedi view the Force as an ally, the Sith see it as a tool from which they draw power through passion and emotion. Most potently, negative emotions. Palpatine trained Vader by not only making him believe he killed his wife, but also ensuring he would never forget the monstrous machine he had become.
By making the suit suck ass and piss him off. Seriously, Vader hates this suit.
The armor would beep at random times just to annoy him, and the life support system was outdated from the start. Sometimes it would even turn off for several minutes.
That doesn't seem good for someone with burnt up lungs.
And it was so heavy and clunky that he could barely walk, sometimes even resorting to moving himself with the Force.
Oh man, I knew Palpy was evil, but I never knew he was such a dick.
Well, despite these issues, the armor fulfilled its true purpose, crafting Darth Vader into the equivalent of a slasher movie villain commanding a galactic army.
Nobody wants to mess with him. Thanks to the dark side of the Force, he can make maelstroms that blast everything away, form barriers that shield from all sorts of attacks, and choke anything that's even a minor inconvenience. Hell, sometimes he skips straight to crushing your lungs.
One time, a droid named I-5 tried to kill Vader with a laser stated to move 300,000 kilometers per second. That's light speed, and Vader easily blocked it.
And for as much bullshit as Palpatine threw at him, Vader was tough enough and stubborn enough to push through it.
Palpatine knew that Vader would eventually try to kill him and take over the Empire. It's how the Sith work. So he constantly fanned Vader's hatred by sending assassins after him to make sure he was still worthy of being his apprentice.
Oh, that's nothing. One time, he blasted off most of Vader's robo-limbs, destroyed his armor, dropped him back on the lava planet, and told him to make his way back without the Force.
An impossible task, yet one Vader accomplished.
Yeah, because he really wants to kill Palpatine.
And that hatred is apparently useful in keeping Force wielders alive, and has sustained many Sith in conditions that would otherwise kill them.
I'm sorry, Liam Neeson. Should have hated a little more.
Vader has killed hundreds, possibly thousands of Jedi, including Obi-Wan himself. He's fought entire armies on his own, and even taken on monsters the size of mountains.
He's so unstoppable, an assassin droid hired to kill him quit the job because he calculated that Vader was impossible to kill.
And in Ewoks material from the old Legends canon, a real deep cut, we know, lesser dark side users like the Night Sister Shirral overpowered the Sunstar, an ancient artifact capable of shifting moons, a feat which would require energy worth over 12 septillion tons of TNT.
That's 24 zeros. But if you want something more recent, here's a planet blowing up while Vader was on it, and he's fine.
But thanks to both his incredible power and the mercy and trust of his secret son, Vader would eventually avenge the atrocities of Palpatine. Even more important, he finally saved someone he loved. Ultimately, Anakin Skywalker truly did bring balance to the Force. In the beginning, the Primordials waged war across existence, a series of cosmic clashes that birthed the universe.
Boom! Now that's what I call a big bang!
From Ceto's death, the oceans would flow. From Uranus's strikes, the stars were spawned, and so forth. Thus, the world itself was born from violence.
Starting a whole messy cycle, Uranus was overthrown by his Titan son, Kronos, who was overthrown by his Olympian son, Zeus, who battled his own son, Kratos.
As a classic bastard child of Zeus, Kratos was left among Spartan mortals, far exceeding all among him. He became a fierce warrior, winning many a battle, until finally cornered by ruthless barbarians.
Ares, destroy these guys who are kicking my ass, and my life is yours. A deal was made, and Kratos was joined at the bone with the Blades of Chaos, a set of chain swords and basically a badass whirlwind of flame and steel.
But Ares had a scheme. While doing work for his god, Kratos accidentally murdered his own family, permanently marked by the ashes of his wife and daughter. He was, forevermore, the ghost of Sparta.
So he was kinda understandably really pissed off. Time for a new god of war. The gods were crapping their togas in fear as the new god of war took out his rage on all of them. And got some new gear out of it too.
With Poseidon's trident and Icarus's wings, Kratos dominated both sea and sky. He also has a tendency to carry powerful severed heads, like Medusa's.
And the claws of Hades could steal souls, even the soul of Hades himself. Should have thought that one through, man.
Neither Perseus or Hercules were a match for Kratos, nor was Helios, the sun god capable of moving stars and spreading light across the entire underworld.
He fought Atlas, the Titan of Strength, who broke the load-bearing pillar of the universe. So Kratos forced him to hold up the cosmos on his own instead.
And he could do it with just one hand, according to the novelization.
Even his grandpappy Kronos failed to stop him. You know, the guy who overthrew the primordial that punched the universe into existence?
Causing shockwaves that moved over a quadrillion times faster than light. A frankly incomprehensible feat.
Then there's Daddy Zeus,
who proved a serious challenge, until Kratos drew perhaps his ultimate weapon, the Blade of Olympus.
It can make tornadoes, lightning, force fields. Oh, and it can stab the hell out of you. It siphons godly energy and can pull enough to even kill Zeus. Like father, like son.
Even while Kratos ultimately released hope across the Greek world, he could only do so after annihilating everything.
Like a badass, he was unstoppable, non-stop killing and sex and even more killing. And yet, he couldn't be any more depressed.
His wife and daughter were still gone. What was he to do?
He didn't know. He wandered aimlessly for years, somehow stumbling into Norse mythology where he met Faye, his second wife. Good start, buddy.
Kratos had a new lease on life, but he could not escape his past mistakes.
There's a reason he hid his swords in a dingy basement. Even so, Faye insisted he could do better, so he became a dad to a new boy.
Easily the toughest task he ever undertook, especially after Faye unfortunately died of a mysterious illness.
Damn it, not again! But hey, it wasn't Kratos' fault this time, and Faye left the tools he'd need to keep the boy safe, including the Leviathan Axe.
Far from the whirling rage of the Blades of Chaos, the Leviathan Axe was deliberate and mighty. said to rival Mjolnir itself.
Thor wishes Mjolnir was as cool as this axe. It's imbued with ice magic and a poison even the gods fear. It can be summoned to Kratos' hand from a distance, and it even shatters souls.
Kratos may have once been a sword of vengeance, but with his new weapons and a new purpose, he stood as a shield against the godly Aesir.
Too bad he just can't help but get in trouble with gods. But now he knew how to control his anger.
Which is even more important than it sounds. Kratos' Spartan rage summons an inner strength with magical properties.
He can even get so pissed off that he straight up heals himself. That seems like the opposite of what should happen.
Not all anger is problematic, and Kratos wields plenty of new weapons and relics to channel his rage through.
Like the Dropnir ring, which can summon a bunch of wind spears. They can absorb all types of energy and blast it back. He even has relics and magic that can warp space and slow down time.
Naturally, he contested with the strongest of the Norse gods, including the god of thunder Thor, who was powerful enough to fight the fire giant Surtur and the world serpent Jormungandr at the same time.
Oh, and that fire giant would be the cause of actual Ragnarok. You can't defeat me, Thor. I know, but he can.
Well, not exactly. Freyr, the rain god, held off Ragnarok for a considerable time on his own, and the sheer power of Ragnarok shook Yggdrasil down to its very roots.
That's the World Tree, which is like a literal tree that connects the whole universe.
According to Freya, the tree's very existence supports all of creation among its boughs. Every strand transcending time, transcending space. Everything comes back to the tree.
So it's kinda like Kratos lives in a really, really, really big treehouse.
In his quest to free the Norse world, Kratos reclaimed old weapons by reckoning with his past sins, even taking up the Blade of Olympus once again.
Even better, he actually got to be a decent dad. And now the boy is a man and also a bear.
Kratos made a lifetime of mistakes, but this future would be different. He'd be more than he was in the past, not just a god of war, but a leader, a father, and a defender, a god of hope. All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a dad battle!
I sense your fear, your anger, and a power. I will be taking it.
You do not want this fight.
Then you will die. All too easy. I expected more.
Let your wrath consume you. I have been down that road before.
On the path of the dark side, it is inevitable.
Very well. deserve a worthy end! You are a monster no longer.
Well, Vader may have been able to beat Obi-Wan, but he just couldn't handle the Ghost of Sparta. But are we sure this is how it'd go? Even though Vader can blow up stars?
Darth Vader had some amazing displays of apocalyptic destruction. Remember, as usual, we look at these characters at their peak, free from gameplay restrictions.
Yeah, we're looking at everything in canon, and Kratos fought and killed Helios, the sun god.
From the moment he's introduced, Helios is emphasized to be immensely powerful. Without Helios, darkness would shroud everything. His light was fast enough to illuminate the entire underworld while Kratos sailed through it, taking a few hours at most.
So, kinda hard to quantify, but that's consistent with the shockwaves the primordials caused that spawned the universe. But when it comes to versatility, he couldn't match all the weapons and abilities Kratos had. Vader's preference for lightsaber combat means that he'd be up close and personal with Kratos, right?
But his fighting style mostly relies on one thing.
A whole lot of joking.
Kratos' weapons, magic, runes, relics, and even his rage gave him far more options in combat, slowing down time, healing injuries, and most importantly, multiple weapons that could drain a variety of energies, like the Force.
While the dark side could help Vader survive extreme conditions, it obviously can't regrow limbs. So the Dropnir spears and the Blade of Olympus gave Kratos exactly what he needed: versatility. But all this assumes Kratos could match Vader's crazy strength. All roads lead to power, which should go to Vader, right? Look at what he can do! If this came down to who made the bigger kaboom, he'd kick Kratos' ass in 2 seconds.
But a closer examination of their feats reveals the truth.
But if you want something more recent, here's a planet blowing up while Vader was on it, and he's fine.
However, the same idea applies to Ragnarok shaking the roots of Yggdrasil.
Ragnarok is obviously a bit of a different beast than Kratos, but what really matters is what Freyr did.
Right, Freyr, a god comparable to Kratos, held back Ragnarok's power for a significant time.
So Kratos should be capable of the same level of power, or even more.
Using an official map and knowing the world tree's branches encompass all of existence, we can measure its size and volume.
And we know this map is accurate because it shows these two realms conjoined, which we see in-game.
Even if we assume the Tree of the Realms is only 1% solid, a significant lowball that Kratos should easily scale above, shaking such an incomprehensibly large structure would require enough force to destroy our universe's mass energy 9 million times over.
As sure as the sun rises, the god of wrath was Kratos.
The winner is Kratos.